Hello and welcome back. This is going to be another 7th grade math video, and this video is going to be focusing on how to add integers. Again, integers are positive and negative whole numbers. Okay, here is the first one that we are going to do together. This is going to be adding -4 plus 2. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways that we can do this or think about this. The first one is going to be to draw some pictures. So I'm going to rewrite the problem here in the middle of the screen just so I have a little bit more room to write. When I see the number -4, I can draw a picture to represent that where I could show 4 negative signs to represent that. When I see +2 or just +2, I could represent that with 2 positive signs. Now, every negative that's paired with a positive cancels itself out. A negative and a positive together equals 0 or nothing. So that means I could match these up and cancel them out, and I could match these up and cancel them out. And what I would be left with is 2 negative signs. So that means my answer would be -2 or 2 negatives. So that's one way to think about it. Here's another way we can think about it and get the same answer. Let's say we have a number line that looks something like this. Okay, I'm going to erase this -2 for now. We've got our 0, maybe right about there. There's -1, -2, -3, and -4. So in our equation, we start at -4. If we're going to add 2, that means we're going to go this way for 2 jumps. So we're going to go 1, 2 jumps. Well, it looks like the number we landed on was -2. So that means -4. If we start at -4 and we go forward 2 jumps, we land on -2. So there's another way to get that answer. The other way is to use the rules of adding integers. And what those rules are is if you are adding integers and they have the same sign, so that means either 2 positives or 2 negatives, what you do is you keep that sign, whatever it is, and then you add the numbers together. So for example, if I had -4 plus -2, I would keep that negative sign, and then I would add the 4 and the 2 together to get 6. So that's going to end up being -6. So same sign is to keep and add. If you have an equation where you have different signs, so let's say your 2 integers have different signs, what you do is you keep the sign of the bigger number and then you subtract the numbers. So in our case, we do have different signs. We have 1 positive and 1 negative. So what we're going to do is keep the sign of the bigger number. Since 4 is bigger than 2 and it's negative, we're going to keep that negative sign. So here, let me erase that and we'll go back and fill it in. We're going to keep that negative sign. Then I'm going to subtract the numbers. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So we end up with -2 as our answer to this equation, no matter which of the 3 different ways we like to do it. Okay, here is our next one. We're going to take -7 and we're going to add -7. So for this one, I'm going to show it with the pictures. So -7 plus -7. So for the first number, which is -7, I'm going to represent that with 7 negative signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the second number is also -7. So I can represent that with 7 negative signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in this group of picture, or in this picture, or this group of symbols, I have no positives. So there's no way for me to cancel and group together any pairs and cancel them out. But what I do have is I have 14 negatives. So I'm going to write this answer as -14. So that means -7 plus -7 is equal to -14. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to do -6 plus -6. So for this one, I'll show it on the number line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a number line here. I'm going to put 0 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here is -6. That is the starting point or the first number in the equation. So yes, it is true I am adding. So you think I would jump this way. But since I'm adding a negative, I have to flip it back around for the negative sign. So adding would be to the right, but I'd have to flip it to the left for the negative. So that means I'm going to keep jumping back 6 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I just need to figure out what number that is. Well, if I start counting at -6 and I go further back 1, that's -7, -8, -9, -10, -11, -12. So that means -6 plus -6 is equal to -12. Now, if you don't really like the number line and you think one of the other methods, whether that's pictures or using the rules, makes more sense, feel free to do that. These are just 3 different ways that you can do it. Okay, here is our next one. We have -2 plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that in the center so I have a little bit more room. -2 plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to represent this with pictures. I'm going to represent -2 with 2 negative signs, and then the +2 or +2 with 2 positive signs. So I can group together a pair of that will cancel out of positive, negative here, and another group that cancels out here. Now you may realize I have nothing left, and that's right, I don't. So that means my answer to this is actually 0. Okay, here's our last problem for today's video. And what we're going to do is we are going to use the rules for this one. So again, those rules were, and first let me rewrite it here, -1 plus 4. Those rules were if I have the same sign, then I'm going to keep that sign and add the numbers. So same sign is keep, add. Different signs, what I'm going to do is keep the sign of the bigger number, so keep the big, and subtract the numbers. So in this problem, we do have different signs. We've got -1 and we've got 4. So what I need to do is keep the sign of the bigger number. Since 4 is bigger than 1 and 4 is positive, I know that my answer is going to be positive. So I can either put a little plus here just to remind myself that I've already looked at that, or I can just leave it blank. Up to you. Now I have to subtract the numbers. So 4 minus 1 would be 3. So that means the answer to this is 3. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.